at the beach in Destin, Florida. We're going to do some special Beach Edition Beer Before Breakfast episodes with some talented chefs down in the Gulf Coast area, starting with Chef Michael Guerra at the Pearl and Havana Beach in Rosemary Beach. Then we're going to go across the street, meet up with Nate Link over at Acme Ice House, also in Rosemary Beach. And then we're going to shoot over to Niceville, and we're going to meet up with Chef Dan Pettis over at 120, a Modern Bistro, and come back to Destin, where we're going to go fishing with Eddie Morgan and the boys at Harbor Docks in the 2014 Cobia World Championships. We're going to try to catch some fresh cobia and cook it there on the docks. So welcome to a special series of Beer Before Breakfast, Beach Edition, or Beach Series, or whatever.
This is Chef Michael Guerra coming to you from the Pearl Hotel and Havana Beach Restaurant. Today I will be cooking with Back 40 Beer Company, and we will be making Gulf Coast clams with Naked Pig Pale Ale. The Pearl in Havana Beach is a hotel and restaurant that's been open for about a year now. But we're focusing on the freshest of fresh seafood and farm-to-table vegetables. I spent the last 4 years in the mountains cooking at the Montage in Park City, and when the opportunity to come to the Gulf Coast came, I really embraced it. The seafood that we have here is second to none. First, the thing that we're going to be doing is getting our pan really hot, okay? And we're going to be melting some butter. About 2 tablespoons of butter, and we'll begin to melt that slowly. We're going to start adding our ingredients, our celery, fennel, shallots, leeks, and our garlic. What we want to do is sweat them. So it's a technique where we'll cook the vegetables slowly to make them fragrant, to let out their flavors, but not necessarily make them caramelized. Many years of cooking across the country in New York and in the West, everybody was using wines for cooking and for drinking and enjoying meals. But now, since the craft beer movement has come, we really have mimicked what wine does for food and made it an acceptable choice to actually drink in some of the nicer restaurants because of its craftness, because of its boutiqueness. And I really do enjoy cooking with beer. I enjoy drinking beer as well, but cooking with it to me gives it another depth. You know, this is something that can be served in the summer. It could be served in the fall, spring. It's really a nice dish for all seasons. It does well with company, with groups of people, because you can make a large batch of it, put it into a bowl, and let everybody serve themselves. And really great with a nice crusty bread to soak up the broth. Now that our vegetables have sweat just a little bit, we're going to add our bay leaf, a sprig of fresh thyme. I add them at this point because sauteing the bay leaf and the thyme with the vegetable allows for the flavors to release just a little bit more. Okay, so our vegetables are nice and sweat down. We're going to add just a tiny bit of our fresh clam juice, and this juice was made from fresh Florida clams, but if you're making this at home, please feel free to purchase it at a store. Just watch the salt content because it can get a little bit heavy. We just added our clam juice and we're just cooking it down just a bit and cooking our vegetables a little bit more. And then now it's time to add the beer, and just pop the tops. And the beer, because it's carbonated, it's going to buff up just a little bit. Just let it cook for a little while and it will come down. By letting the beer cook, you have more of the essence of the flavor of the beer and kind of takes away some of that bitterness. So we're going to let it cook for about 3 or 4 minutes. Really nice. So we've cooked our beer down for about 3 or 4 minutes. Now it's time to add our clam. Okay, so here is the Florida Little Neck. comes right here from Apalachicola, sourced locally. So clam being a bivalve, meaning that it opens like this, they could take a little while to cook because they start to pucker up. Really what you want to do when you add your clams is make sure that your broth is at a rolling boil. If you start them too cold, the clam will pucker up and take a little longer to open. The faster you get the clam open and the faster you serve it, the better the flavor of the clam will be. We added the clam juice, we added the beer. Now the clams are releasing their liquid into the broth, and we want to make sure that it's still seasoned properly. So I'll let them start opening and then we'll taste. Okay, you can see some of the clams are beginning to open. So I'll just stir them lightly. A clam is alive when you get it, alive when you cook it. If the clam is opened when you receive it, tap it. If it closes, the clam is alive. If it does not close, throw it away and do not eat it. It means that the clam is dead and no longer safe to eat. Really, really important. So just don't grab them and throw them in there. Really look at them and make sure. So here we are. Almost all of our clams are open. Really nice. And I'm gonna finish this dish with just a little bit more butter. And what the butter does is just add a little bit of viscosity to the sauce. When I mean viscosity, I mean thickness. It adds a little bit more body. As soon as our butter is completely melted, we'll start to plate the dish. So I'll begin to just arrange the clams in the dish. And you can see how nice the vegetables have cooked. The broth, the clams. And then I'm just going to pour the broth. A little bit of a mess here, but seafood should be fun to eat. Everybody should just gather around and grab a clam, grab an oyster, grab shrimp, and have fun.
That's fantastic.
Good, yeah, good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy you like it.
I'm on my way to Cuba, there's where I'm going. Cuba, there's where I'll stay. Cuba, where wine is flowing, and where dark-eyed sailors like their fellas panatellas
My name is Nate Link. I'm the chef here at Acme Ice House, originally from New Hampshire, way up in the Northeast. I've been moving around working in a lot of fine dining restaurants, five-star hotels, and so when I came to Acme, which our concept is casual food in a clean and welcoming environment, done right, it seemed like it was the perfect opportunity. We're doing 2 dishes today with Back 40 beer. We're going to be making a peach beer float and truck stop beer battered onion rings. Okay, so here I've got some macerated peaches, which are just peaches that have been tossed in a little bit of sugar and then sauteed at a really high temp very shortly. What it does is it starts to pull out all the juices inside, and so you get a really nice sweet peach. I always start out with a little bit of liquid in the bottom. Ice cream forms a seal, and so when you pour that beer in there and it starts to move down to the bottom and you hit it with that straw, all that beer is going to want to rush down into that hole and it'll burst up. Scoop of vanilla. The saltiness of the bacon and bacon's own flavor profile not only just adds another layer to the beer, but that saltiness does bring out some of those other flavors. And that's our peach Milkshake. Peach float? Peach beer float. Peach wheat beer float.
Nailed it.
First, we start with our mix. Our mix is all-purpose flour, baking powder, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then our truck stop honey. We've got our yellow onions cut into big rings, nice thick rings. This is sitting in buttermilk. It's going to help to take out a lot of the bitterness, and also when we flour it, it's going to help the batter to stick, which will keep the whole thing from burning. I've got a little bit of flour here, about a teaspoon of baking powder, salt generously, and just a little bit of pepper. Beer goes in. We don't want to mix it too far because it's actually good to have a couple little lumps in the mix. A little bit more. So we're looking for, it's not something that's going to cake the entire ring. Something that's just going to lightly coat it, but still hold. And so we'll keep adjusting a little bit more beer, of course. So this is our mix that we're actually going to coat the onions in. It's a mix of AP flour, salt, pepper, and paprika. It'll help to give the onion rings a little bit more color. So we have our fires at about 350 degrees. I'm going to toss the onion rings a little bit more, just so that they're nice and coated. And then they go a little bit of shake so they're not too wet into the flour. Give them a toss so that they're not clumped, but also so that they're all covered, because the batter is not going to want to stick to just a wet, raw onion. Okay, so we shake off any extra flour, and they go right into the batter. They get tossed, and then one by one, go into the fryer. We do them one by one because as we're doing it, they have time to form a little bit of a shell. If we were to put them all in at the same time, we'd get one giant onion ring. So we let these cook for about 45 seconds or so. Then we're going to flip them over to get color on the other side, just as if you were doing pancakes, burger, or anything along those lines. So now we're getting nice even color across. We're gonna have a nice crunchy outside. We're about ready to take them out. Give them a quick shake so they're not quite so fatty.
Hey, I'm Chef Dan from 120 and Modern Bistro here in Niceville. The idea behind 120 is big city food at small town prices, and what that means is we're taking a little bit of all of my culinary travels. I was born and raised here in the South. I've traveled all over and I've seen a lot. I've seen a whole lot. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring all that back here to the South and show everybody that the world is really, really small on a plate. We're gonna play in the kitchen a little bit today. We're gonna do a pork ribeye with a coffee crust, a southwestern coffee crust. And then we're gonna do a cauliflower that's been roasted with pesto and finished with mashed potatoes. And we're gonna do a little bit of a pale ale and maple glaze on top. We're gonna start off with just ground coffee. Nothing fancy, nothing special. It's gotta be raw coffee. Don't wanna use your coffee grounds after you've already made the coffee. So just regular decaf, doesn't really matter. And then here we've got salt, cayenne pepper, black pepper, granulated garlic, paprika, cumin, and a little bit of cinnamon. All right? All those go in there. We just stir those up. Basically, in a sense, we're making a dry rub. All right, that's done. Now we take our pork ribeye. This is a little bit different. This is a pork chop that's been cut like a cow instead of like a pig. So you get that spinelless cut on the outside, just like you do a standard ribeye, with the nice marbling fat in it, and makes it a little bit tender and delicious. What we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're literally just going to coat the entire thing in that coffee crust. Now it's seasoned. We're going to put it on a hot grill. It'll take about 5 or 6 minutes on each side. Be a nice medium. All right, we're going to do the pale ale and maple glaze for the pork now. We've got pure maple syrup and Naked Pig Pale Ale. What we're going to do is we're going to throw a little bit of garlic in the pan. We got a hot pan here, so just a little bit of garlic in that pan. We're going to add just a touch of oil to let that garlic start cooking up. We're going to add Naked Pig Pale Ale. What we want to do is we want to let this reduce by about 3/4. What that will do is that will intensify that flavor. Anything with beer and sweet always does so well together, and the pale ale doesn't have such a bitter aftertaste from the hops, so it lends itself really well with the coffee as well as the sweet. So we've got sweet and salty with a little bit of the smokiness from the grill as well as the seasonings that we put on it. So it should be a match made in heaven. Oh yeah, it smells like beer. All right, now we're gonna add some pure maple syrup. What this does, it brings the sugar content up and gives it that kind of molassesy bitterness from the maple. Will also lend itself really nice with the coffee crust that we have on the pork. We cook with beer quite a bit at the restaurant. We do beer barbecue, beer batter for fish and chicken and stuff like that. I always tell people that my favorite wine is made out of barley and hops because I'm a beer drinker. I'm not a wine drinker, so it's a chef thing, I think. We'll do the roasted cauliflower now. We're going to do a pesto roasted cauliflower. So I've got some cauliflower florets. We'll put those in a little bit bigger bowl. And I've got some canola oil. And pesto. This is just some pesto we made. It's basil, pine nuts, Parmesan cheese, Romano cheese, salt, pepper, all ground up. So we add that all in there. Toss that around. We'll throw that in a hot saute pan. And what we're looking for is we want some brown. You want it to start browning before we throw it in the oven. So what we're going to do is we don't want to cook it so much that the cauliflower gets soggy, so we want to start the browning process now. We still want to hold on to some of that crunch from the cauliflower. All right, so we'll take this, we'll whack it in the oven. Oven's 450 degrees. Take about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Chop's done. We're going to take it off and allow it to rest on the counter for just a minute to let the juices, all the natural juices, come back into it. Sauce is almost done. We can see that it's starting to boil a little bit more like caramel. So we'll reduce the heat down, let it kind of settle down a minute, and then we're going to take some butter, just a little bit, like half a stick, and that goes in there. And just shake it until it comes together. Now we can see it's kind of got that thicker viscosity. So the butter kind of, we call it monte a beurre, which means to mount with butter, to finish with butter. So it gives it that shine and that smoothness that we like in the culinary world. Ooh, that's good. It tastes like beer and maple syrup. All right, let me check this real quick. So we're getting there. Looks real good. We can actually call this done. So to finish the cauliflower, we just got some Parmesan cheese here. Just gonna sprinkle a little bit of that on there, let it melt on it. We've got some garlic mashed potatoes that we had already prepared. Those go in the center of the plate. And take some of that pesto roasted cauliflower. Make sure you get the nice brown ones. We're gonna take this pork chop, now that it's been rested, we're gonna cut it on a nice long bias. Get a nice pink, juicy center. That goes up on top with the mashed potatoes. And we take our glaze of maple syrup and Naked Pig Pale Ale. Goes just over the top. Don't neglect the cauliflower. And we've just got some herb oil. This is just some green extra virgin olive oil that we pureed up some herbs in it, and some balsamic glaze that just reduced down. We'll call that one done.
Oh man, that's amazing. Well done. Well done.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
They're migrating. They're coming from South Florida, you know, the Keys, and they're heading towards Louisiana. So when we get a south or southeast wind, they get up on top to let the wind push them. The world record is 135 pounds, 9 ounces. There's a cobia hanging over the bar at Harbor Docks that was caught out of Destin. It was 137 pounds, but it didn't count because 2 people handled the rod.
All right, we're not having any luck with the fish because of the dirty water. So I don't really know what we're gonna do, and we've also got some fog that's coming in over the horizon that we can see that's gonna just compound the issue even more. So we're hoping we can catch some fish, but it's not looking too good right now. All right, so we just spotted 2 fish, and we've been circling around for the past 10-15 minutes to try to find them again. And the water's just so dirty that it's hard. You can't really see them. So we know the general vicinity where they are, but we can't find them again. So I fear it's going to be like this all day.
We're just having fun now. Building the numbers.
We got some meat. Let's go cook it. We navigate these seas looking for the fish that keep us alive, basically.
So you're like literally the old man in the sea.
Yeah, essentially, I mean, that's what this is, a modern day old man in the sea. And I guess, David, in that sense, you're the boy.
My dad was a big Plymouth Dodge man, so obviously I was named after the Plymouth Duster. About to cook some cobia shrimp with a truck stop honey brown ale pan sauce over some jalapeno smoked Gouda cheese grits. Heat up the skillets. A little bit of butter in each one. For the pan sauce, I'm going to use a little bit of garlic, a little bit of chopped red onions. Get that going a little bit. Then some chopped tomatoes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let that cook a little bit. Alright, and for the fish, we're using freshly caught cobia with some Harbor Dock seasoning and 2 fresh Gulf shrimp with Harbor Dock seasoning as well. I'm going to just let that cook and then I'll flip it. Okay, back to the sauce here. I'm going to use some Truck Stop Honey Brown Ale. A little bit of Worcestershire, a little splash of that. And a little splash of heavy whipping cream. We're going to just let that reduce down. Flip this. Probably just a couple minutes on each side, really. Cobia doesn't take that long to cook. Same with the shrimp; they'll both cook about the same time. You can't beat fresh fish. Obviously the fresher the ingredient, the better product you'll have.
If you order a piece of cobia from me today, it was swimming this morning, 90% of the time, because we run out every day. We don't have enough to go around. So if you're lucky enough to get some, it's very, very fresh. Sometimes they're even wiggling when they get here. It's what it says it is. It's from the Gulf to your table.
The cheese grits, basically it's jalapenos, a little red onion, red bell pepper, and smoked Gouda cheese. There. Then top it off with your Truck Stop brown pan sauce. Garnish it with a little parsley. And there you have it.
It's great, man. It's just simple. That's what I love about fresh seafood, is that you can take some really simple ingredients and it's just meant to kind of showcase the flavors of the fish, man. The texture's perfect. You can tell it's fresh out of the Gulf. Oh yeah. I need a beer. That wasn't for the camera, that was just me talking.